Well, thank you again all for coming. I know the elements have been against us today and it's been not the greatest, probably best British weather we haven't seen for a while. I'm here on behalf of a company called Sorare, and I represent their interests here in the UK. I've known of the company for about a year now, but have actively been playing the game since February. My role is multifaceted, but in a short version, I act as a pivot between the community of players and gamers and managers and the development team which sits in Paris. So we've got the CEO, Nicolas Julia, we've got Adrian Montfort, which is the CTO, and then we've got a third developer, Pierre Duperrin, and we've got an external design team which is growing, and we've got, I think, adverts out for other roles within the business as well. But they do what they do in France, and to say things in the UK is my domain. So for those that I've not had a brief chat with before, basically Sorare is a gaming company which has created a football game where you can collect and play with officially licensed crypto goods. So there are a lot of sporting companies out there and games with sporting licenses, and we are the very first company that has attained licenses to work with clubs in the football world on the blockchain. Now I'm interested to know, I've already spoken to Paul here, an ardent Arsenal fan. I've got a feeling that you might have collected Panini stickers a few years back. This is not just for collectors of football stickers, I want to add. I think inherently within us all there's probably something that we have enjoyed or still like that we've collected either in the past or we still collect now. I don't know if I can have a quick show of hands in terms of who would classify themselves a collector of something. Anyone care to admit what is their collecting vice? Bryce, what are you a collector of?
I'm always using one.
Okay, anyone else want to volunteer what they... vinyl records? Okay. Anything else? All right, well look, I think in short, the industry for collecting is at an all-time high and it's only getting higher. I think these estimates, $370 billion of collectibles each year, and there are different motivations to why people collect. You know, a lot of people think that if they collect the right things, they have the ability to appreciate and value. Sometimes it's the utility of what you collect, what you can go on to use it with, and some things, you know, just might be a passion or something that evokes a memory that, or a keepsake that you just want to keep that maybe doesn't even have a monetary value of sorts. But one thing's for sure is that intrinsically people do have that inner collector amongst them, and I don't think that's going to subside any time in the future. It's only going to get stronger and stronger. Now, for collectors to have something truly scarce, there needs to be, you know, an understanding of what the supply is of what they're collecting. And so far at the moment, when it comes to digital goods, it's very difficult to actually have an understanding as to, if you're buying something, what is it that you're actually buying and what is the supply of what you're buying. And I think the blockchain, and I know you've all worked in, it sounds like you've all worked in this industry, you know, for quite a sustained period of time, is that we haven't as of yet got that many ways that we can collect digital goods without knowing what the supply is. But the blockchain is allowing us to do that now. And I think this slide here shows that we've got different digital goods at the moment, and we've put here FIFA 19, which has already changed into FIFA 20. We've got Fortnite, which has been a phenomenon in the last 12 to 18 months, and Pokemon, again, I think speaks for itself as a brand. It's something which has got a crazy amount of buyers and of people worldwide. But within these games and within the ecosystems that these developers have created these games, there's only a certain amount of utility that your assets can give you. You know, FIFA is probably the easiest one to correlate with what we do here, is that FIFA 20 has just hit the shops now. You can go and buy FIFA 20 tomorrow, You can start buying packs, coins, building up your team. But at some point, August of next year, rumours will start coming of FIFA 21, and everything that you've done this year, all the progress that you've made, all the coins that you've spent, all the money that you've spent and time, will be rendered obsolete, because you'll then be sort of like almost forced to play the next version. I'm sure there'll still be people playing FIFA 20 in a year or 2 years' time, but there'll be a diminishing pool of people, and you'll be playing with cards which are obsolete and probably have less and less value. And I think, again, in terms of trading, you're only playing against the house. If I'm buying cards, they're being listed by the company themselves. I can't take these cards out of the game to play in anything else. The ecosystem is defined, and if Electronic Arts tomorrow disappears, well, you won't get the updates, you won't be able to do anything else with these cards, and the game disappears. But things are changing, and where we position ourselves is in a situation where the cards that we're creating, the player cards that we're creating, are ERC 721 tokens. We're not the only sporting industry which is looking at these cards and developing marketplaces for them. There is already quite a strong MLB, that's the baseball interface, where you can buy and sell digital bobbleheads. Premier League, I think we just discussed, Watford have taken on a sponsorship with Bitcoin. eToro are sponsoring quite a few football clubs now through advertising hoardings. But in the pipeline, we can see NBA, NFL, there's a Formula 1 game, I saw a motor GP game which was announced earlier this week as well. And I think over time, a lot of the big sporting franchises will start to put a lot of the things that you could ordinarily buy physically, and you still will be able to buy physically, but they'll be putting them on the blockchain so that their fans can have different experiences through different games and collecting strategies. This figure, the $200 million of sales in 2018, I think just demonstrates that there is a marketplace. And again, whilst we're still in our infancy, these numbers have the ability to grow and grow. I don't know the exact number, but again, FIFA seems to sell a good $100 to $200 million worth of packs every 6 months or so. And again, that's money which is effectively being washed away, because in a year from now, no one will be worried about the money they've paid into that, they'll be paying into something new. So our product, this is an example of one of our cards on the left. This is actually a 2018-19 card. This is a Philip Anderson card. Our cards are defined by 3 different colours. We have rare cards, red. We have blue cards, which we call super rare. And then we have an extra level of card, which is called unique, which are black. Our red cards, each season we have a defined supply, so that you know exactly how many player cards you're going to be in competition with, or the supply of the card. Red cards are only ever produced 100 versions each year. So if, as we go through and sell red Jack Wilshere, there will only ever be 100 versions of the red rare Jack Wilshere available in the marketplace, denoted by their serial number, 1 of 100, 2 of 100, 3 of 100, and so on. We then step up, and each year, I'll take Jack Wilshere as another example, you would have 10 versions of his blue card, his super rare card. 1 of 10, 2 of 10, 3 of 10. And then, if depending on what happened in real life, Jack Wilshere had a game like he had for Arsenal, boss in the midfield one day, there might be a unique version of Jack Wilshere, and there'll be 1 of 1. And so for the whole season, there would only be 1 of those cards available. So each player, each season at the moment, can only have a maximum amount of 111 cards in circulation. So the first stage is to collect. There are different ways that you can collect cards. We've got open auctions, we've got the ability to buy packs. The second is that we've created our first fantasy game, and I'll go on to that in a little bit more detail when we go into the portal. But effectively you can utilise your cards in a fantasy game to compete, to earn rewards. So each week at the moment we have different game weeks, we have different criteria, different eligibility for different leagues and divisions. So depending on the cards that you own, you can pick and choose a tournament that's right for your cards, and you compete with other people on your scale for either ETH rewards or the ability to unlock other rare cards or super rare cards as well. So far so good?
So each player has got rare, all the 3 types.
Every player has the ability to have the rare, super rare and unique. What we tend to do is, again, the distribution is 100 rare to 10 super rare to 1 unique. So if you look at the database over time, I think we're up to about 4,000 cards in circulation at the moment. Those percentages will stay pretty accurate. So 1% of those 4,000, about 40 uniques are in circulation at the moment. The vast majority, 3,600 or so, are going to be rares, and there'll be about 400 super rares in the database at the moment. When we have our auctions, those distribution percentages stay the same. So for every 111 cards we put out on the auction, 1 will be a unique, 10 will be super rare, 100 will be rare. And the super rare and the uniques are determined by who in our team of the week. So who in real life has had the strongest performance, who has got the most points, and then we build a 4-3-3 or 4-4-2, and those players will be given the super rare status. So it might be over time that you'll get a rare player that doesn't play very much, or doesn't play at all, and they never have the opportunity to have a super rare version of that player. So the rare card version might be the rarest out there for a given season, because there might not actually be the production of that super rare. And again, last season I think we had no more than 25 uniques in circulation. So the large majority of players in the database won't get a unique card version of themselves. So even if you're holding the Philly Banners number 1, for example, that might end up being the scarcest version of that particular card in a season as well. So, yes, Paul?
Sorry, so they don't all come in circulation through buying packs?
Not necessarily. Some players might not get the super rare treatment or the unique treatments. Because there's only 10% of them, it will be the top 10% in the game, and that's normally linked to how they've played in real life.
So if I just come onto the platform the first time and buy a pack, am I just getting a random, as if I was buying a pack of community stickers?
Yep.
I'm just getting a random selection of players?
At the moment, because we would require a gambling license, we don't have loot boxes, so to speak. So when I show you the packs, you actually see what you're going to get. So I'll show you exactly what you would get in a pack. From a rewards point of view, we can randomise the rewards, but if you're actually buying a pack, we need to show you exactly what you're buying. So
that would make you a lottery. If it was random.
Correct, and we're only selling in packs the rare cards. So what we've designed and the experience that we want to give to our users is something that will, we always hear the word and term mass adoption. There's a lot of football fans out there that we know of that maybe get turned off a little bit by, I've got to buy in crypto, I've got to do this, I've got to set up a wallet, I've got to do that. We're looking at making this as simple as possible for people that don't have the crypto knowledge. We've already opened up a payment facility whereby you can actually go and acquire a pack using ETH. You can transfer money onto Loom and buy your pack, but you can also settle in fiat currency as well. So when I show you the packs, you've got 2 options. You can either buy in ETH, or you can buy using your credit card or your debit card. And as I say, everything you're purchasing is from a club or a league where we've got official licenses. So where you'll find other companies that are also producing football games, which are all great and fun. At the moment, we don't see and don't believe there are any other companies out there that have got the official licenses from the clubs. I'll just leave you with a few quotes from some of our users. I don't know if one of these was yours, Pat. Do you recognise your words here?
No, I'm one of the players with no crypto background, so
right, okay.
I'm one of the mainstream players that actually purchased his first crypto good as a Sorare card.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
How did you find the user experience there?
This is what I like the most, is actually the gameplay and user experience, because I had no knowledge of Ether or Bitcoin or whatever. So I happened to learn about Sorare and they gave me an opportunity to be one of the first players, and I enjoy it so much that now I have 70 cards.
Yeah.
So do you have to manage a private key then for all your cards? Do you need a ledger or a treasure to manage your ownership of the card?
Well, the cards are linked to your own Loom account. So once Loom, it's built on the Loom Plasmid network.
Essentially, which wallet do you use?
Yeah.
I purchased my card through a MetaMask.
Right.
And to be honest, this is all I know.
Right, no, that's fine. So you had to install MetaMask.
Yeah.
And so you paid in your first
Yeah,
time?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I was just curious. So you've gone through that whole experience?
I think,
And you have everything backed up properly?
From a mainstream player perspective, I think it works. This is the only testimony I can
No,
make.
it's nice.
And
Interesting.
I think it's useful feedback as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting to see someone that's not being in crypto and using it for the first time.
No, I think, again, from my experience as well, I mean, I went through this teething and learning curve with other games before encountering Sorare as well. And I've always got my eye on other games, looking at the user interfaces, seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work as well. And I think, again, I've got probably friends who love fantasy football, love the collecting element, but only recently when I was able to show them the fact that they could click on 2 or 3 times, purchase a pack, then get started, that was the trigger for them to say, all right, Mark, I'll give this a chance now. 6 months ago, when we didn't have the ability to onboard people using euros, I could explain this to my friends and they'd be like, looks great, Mark, but come back to me when, you know, I don't have to go through that so many, you know, complex stages just to get started. So some of you will have seen this already if you'd signed up prior to the presentation tonight. I think some of you have already been gifted your first card, and so everyone tonight that does sign up or wants to sign up, we can help your collection get started. This is our front page. Sign up is pretty straightforward. If you haven't done it before, go to the top right, put your details, you'll get an email sent through to you, you confirm that, and then you can start to log in. So if I log in, you get taken straight to the transfer market. So our transfer market, we've got 4 main subsections, and I'll go through these one at a time. But if you're looking to buy someone for your collection, the transfer market, you've got buy new. So we've currently got 75 cards on the market that are going up on English auctions. So I'll go into one of these in more detail here. You've got the trade market, which is the secondary market. So if you want to put one of your players up for sale, again, you can put one of your players up for sale. And then if you just want the filter for everybody, you've got the final filter. But tonight we put specifically 10 auctions up available, which actually start finishing in about 25 minutes time. So if we take this first chap, I think he's one of the youngest guys in the database at the moment, and he's 16 years old, coming through the ranks at Anderlecht. You can already start to see we've got activity with people bidding. Our rare cards start at 0.01 ETH. So at the moment we've got that's about 1.6 euros. And you have to make a 10% incremental bid, which is already factored in anyway. So if I want to go and bid 0.15 on this guy, it's just a couple of clicks, and now I'm shown to be leading the bid on this particular player itself. The clocks themselves, to prevent sniping, if you go in with just a few seconds to go, you'll automatically get another 60 seconds added to the clock as well. So you'll always have 60 seconds to see what is happening, and if you want to go again, you can do. When you're looking at the transfer screen, one of the new recent additions that we've got is that each player has a power indicator, and I'll go on to explain a little bit more about those in the gameplay arena. Our rare cards start with a power indicator of 1, our super rare cards start with a power indicator of 2, and our unique cards start with a power indicator of 3. And the idea is, as you play them each week, they'll get more experience. If they're playing in teams that are successful, they'll get higher levels of experience, and each card will level up. Every time they level up, their power indicator gets stronger and stronger. So just to give you a simple example, our metrics provide every goal scorer with 7 points. So if you've got a player in your team each week that scores 7, it'll be 7 times whatever the multiplier is. So if you've got a card which is on maybe level 4, level 5 of experience, let's say Jack Wilshere of level 4, level 5, and he scores a goal, he will actually get you more points than someone who's got a level 1 or a level 2 Jack Wilshere scoring 7 points as well. There's different bonuses that we give to each card. One of the big things that we got feedback from the community is the utility of the actual cards themselves. A lot of people's pet hate is that they buy something and then next season they can't use it, or the player gets transferred to another club, can't use it, and that's preventing people from perhaps spending what they would normally spend if there's more utility in the cards. So what we've done is we've provided two basic bonuses that if you buy a card which is in a current season, you'll get a 10% bonus. So there is an incentive to actually buy the current season's cards. And if you own a card where the player is still playing for the same team on the card, so if this guy continues to play for Anderlecht for the next 5-10 years before he makes a big move somewhere else, then he'll get what we call a fidelity bonus, a loyalty bonus, where again he'll get 10% added to his score. But what that actually does is it means that if this player then goes on to play for another club, or next season when he's not actually in the current season, his card has still got value. He still gets the base, he'll still get his experience, he'll still get his level, he might forego his fidelity bonus, he might forego his seasonal bonus, but you'll always have a value to this actual card. And what we found with collectors is that they like to have the 2018-19 version, the 2019-20 version. If you've got a particular favourite player or a particular favourite club, you might end up just buying the collector side of this, and as I say, then worry less about the fantasy element and the power that this card will give you in game. So that's how an auction works, and I say within 1 or 2 clicks you can be winning an auction. You don't need to refresh. If somebody goes and bids now, it will replace my latest bid. You can also get email notifications like you would find on other shops like OpenSea, where you can get told you've been outbid now, then you can go back short link straight into the card itself. Now some of you have seen, you've already started your account tonight. This is where you've got the ability to customise and personalise your own account. Call it a name, give it a slogan, put your avatar up there, and then again you've got different filters which you can go and actually look through your own cards. Breaking it down, goalies, midfielders, by position, by scarcity, and then you've got more advanced filters where you can really drill down into, whether your player has got a lot of yellow cards, the foul balance, whether they're making a lot of fouls, break it down by assists. This is always being improved on, so any filter that you think's missing, all we've got to do is provide that back to the developers, and they'll put that on the roadmap to include for a future update. So it really is easy to go away and look at all your players. We've had some great feedback tonight already in terms of ways that you can rearrange your players within your own gallery. Some people would perhaps like to find ways that they can say, oh, I'm missing a certain player, and then be taken to the transfer market to see if that player exists and then complete collections. And then what we'll do, I think what's coming up very very shortly on the roadmap is in-game achievements. So it might be a case of buy 10 goalkeepers, it might be a case of have 5 players from the same nationality. So there'll be little milestones that you can work towards in the game itself that will unlock maybe just some cosmetic upgrades, maybe gives you your name in lights, or gives you a little bit more of a status as a manager within the game. Some of them might unlock different packs, give you different rewards. So there's always going to be different things that you can achieve, even if you're looking to collect and not necessarily that interested in the fantasy side of the game. But again, these are the cards that you can collect, and they'll go straight to your gallery. I think the biggest one that we would like to share with you today is how easy it is to pick up and play this game and start competing for prizes. So just to go back to your point on the packs, within the transfer market, you've got a specific segment for packs. Our packs update every day at 7 PM UK time, and they'll update naturally once somebody has bought a pack. The packs themselves contain 5 players that would require you not to go to the transfer market to buy anybody else. So each pack will contain 1 goalkeeper, it will contain a defender, it will contain a midfielder, it can contain an attacker, and then a 5th outfield player. The 3 different packs that we have on offer, the top pack is for someone that wants to play 2 attackers, the second one will be for midfielders, you get a second midfielder in that pack, and then you'll get a second defender in the defensive pack. So if there was a particular pack you like the look of, okay, we've got 17 minutes till the next change, it's 8 o'clock, sorry. You would click buy this pack, and then you would be given 2 different options. Buy with a credit card, €20, buy with Ethereum, which today is 0.128. So if you buy with Ethereum, it will give you a buy pack confirm, and then that will come directly from your wallet. Or if you buy with credit card, you'll be taken to a settlement screen All right, press the wrong one again. €20 for a pack.
How many cards are in the
You get 5 players in a pack.
What's your average spend on a pack these days?
I think they're just over £1 now, aren't they?
So is there age restrictions? Or could there be? Would there be?
There could be. I think. I don't think there's no. If it's credit card linked, it's obviously the age of. The demographic for this particular game is adults that still like to play fantasy football at Untitled. So I think there's a cross section between early 20s and mid 40s. We've certainly got people in the game which are considerably older. We've got Burgley, for example, who's one of the older chaps in the group that's just a collector by heart, a big Ajax fan. Let me go back to the packs and try this one again.
How many registered players have you used?
We're up to about just under 100 users at the moment, of which 2/3 will compete actively in the tournaments each week. So I want to show you that. Okay, this one.
There was a long waiting list. They were waiting to have all the developments made so that the user it becomes really user friendly. Right. And now I see the numbers increase.
Yeah, no, for the first 4 or 5 months prior to getting this option here, it didn't make sense to mass market to the waiting list that we had. There was going to be a public launch, so to speak, but because there's incremental improvements to the user base every couple of weeks, we're not going to go from here to here, big step up. We've actually subtly just opened the register. Up till previous 2 weeks ago, you would have to register and then be invited to join the platform. Now we've opened that up, so it's easy now. If you want to sign up, there's no border to stop you from signing up. So here's the checkout page for if you purchase in euros. And again, it tells you exactly who you're buying. So there's no loot box, there's no unknown entity here. You buy what you see on the screen. You don't like the pack, you can wait for them to refresh every day, or you can wait for someone else to buy the pack and see what that gets replaced with. So assuming you purchase a pack, you can then go straight to the gaming arena. And so our gaming arena, this was a facelift that we got given last week. This actually takes you back and shows you all of the different tournaments since it was moved over to the platform. Prior to this, we had a very active Discord channel, and a lot of it was manual entry, but we can go all the way back to April here. It will give you the experience that your players accumulated in that game week. It will tell you if you've won any cards or not. It will tell you if you've won any ETH or not, and then give you your best ranking in the different leagues. So up until this week, we've had 3 defined leagues. You can only compete in the rare league if you've got rare cards. If we view the results of this particular, this is 9th to 11th of August. And then we go to our leaderboards. So if we go to rare, so our guy Rick, his team this week got 90 points. You can see here the breakdown of his team was only rare cards. And if you go into the statistics, you can see here the different metrics for how their on-field actions generates you points. So this is his defender. He's made 60 accurate passes, 1 foul. He was fouled once, he's made 5 clearances. This is the power indicator that you saw previously on the individual card pages. So he's got 1.375 power. Multiply that by his points, and his final score for the week was 11. Midfielder 25, striker 44. He's obviously got a guy here that maybe didn't play, so that's why he's got 0. But that was good enough for 90 points that week, and that one in the leaderboard. In the super rares, let's pick someone else, let's pick Sorare. You can see here he's already got a team full of super rare players, slightly bigger multipliers, so 2s, 3s. So his overall score was closer to 140. And then
How do you get these super rare?
The majority are through auction. So they can be won or they're through auction. So the idea is if you're coming into the game for the very first time and you build up a portfolio or a collection of rare players, those rare players can compete against other rare players, and if you win, you'll win a super rare player. Then you can decide if you want to, build a super rare team, and then you can step up.
So what's the average auction success price?
So the super rares start at 0.1 ETH, and for the lesser known super rares, they probably go 0.12, 0.15, so maybe 2 or 3 bids only on those particular ones. For the rare cards, they're 0.01, and they can go from anything from a minimum opening bid or second bid, and then if it's some of the West Ham players last season were going for 0.2 if they were a first edition, for example. So again, like real life, it will depend on their popularity in real life. And we've already found, for example, because we play a 5-a-side game, we found that goalkeepers tend to be more in demand, because the distribution of goalkeepers would normally be 1 to 11 or 1 to 13, for example, with some subs, whereas in our game you need 1 for every 5. So certain goalkeepers will perhaps command a higher price on the transfer market.
And does that all get fed back into whatever they sell for, gets fed back into the prize?
There is a percentage that goes back into the prize pool, yes. So at the moment, our leaderboards pay out on the top 5 in the All-Star League, top 4 in the Super Rare League, and top 4 in the Rare League. And then we have already in place, as the user base continues to grow, the next level up, we'll be paying the top 7 or the top 9, top 5, top 7. So there'll be more rewards back in depending on the auction activity and the level of users that are on board, correct?
So in terms of your business model, Sorare's business model is obviously the margin between what they're selling and what they're getting out of the business.
Yes, it's not solely linked to that, but initially to gain traction, there is, we want to be putting back into the prize pot, because, for example, last season it got to the stage where we were competing for unique cards. And I think we're only a few weeks away now for having unique cards as the main prize as well. So there has to be that carrot and stick element as well. If we want people to invest in the super rare cards, and hopefully they're doing it partly for the collectible side of things, but also because they can see, well, if the prize fund this week is half an ETH or 1 ETH, it's definitely worth me perhaps spending to speculating to accumulate. And as long as there's a buoyant secondary market for the cards as well, we've got players that compete, win, and then sell their cards on the market. Or we've got people that compete, win, and then, okay, well, I'll buy that guy some teammates so I can win, try and compete on the next level.
Sorry, while it's still on my
Yeah, please, no.
There's nothing to stop me still though. If I want to just go and trade off of the platform with a guy in the pub,
Yep.
I can do that.
Correct. So at the moment, the functionality that we've got for user-to-user sales is that you would put them on the transfer market and they would be open for everybody. If you wanted to make sure that your mate in the pub definitely got the card that you were trying to sell him, there are ways around it. You could withdraw that card onto OpenSea, gift that card, and then he would deposit into his wallet. Then that's the only way at the moment that we've got, which is 100% that you would definitely better get the card there. We've had scenarios where you could put a 1-minute auction or a 2-minute auction, and then the other person goes in, and then if they have to keep bidding, then you'd refund them the ETH as well. It's not ideal, but there are ways that you can make sure that the card ends up with the place you want to get it to. Yeah, you can list it there. One of the main advantages of our transfer market is that we don't charge a sell-on fee. So if you were to withdraw to OpenSea and sell it on the open market there, which is no problem at all, there'd be a handling card, I think 2.5% for OpenSea, and I think we levy a 2.5% fee on that as well. Whereas if you put your player for sale on the transfer market for 0.1 ETH and he sells for 0.1, you get the 0.1.
What's the quickest way to let the ultra card in? The quickest way to get an all blue team?
Okay, so basically each week, the way the working week goes. So at the moment we've got the ability to compose your team. Our deadlines are on Friday. So Friday 7:30, which is normally the first kick-off for a game. Belgian League, there tends to be a Friday night game, so you have to get your team in before then. The scores then get calculated for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday games, and then they're provided with us on the Wednesday morning. On that Wednesday morning, we'll take a look at who were the top highest point scorers of that week and build a team of the week. The team of the week will be 10 super rare players and 1 unique player. So over the course of a week, we tend to have around 111 auctions. That will scale up significantly as we get more users. So we hopefully will get to the stage very soon where we might have 200 or 300 auctions per week, and out of those, let's say 300 auctions, 30 are going to be super rare, 3 are going to be unique, 270 are going to be rare cards. So Thursday we tend to have what we call a power hour, and that's basically we choose an hour. It's normally between 8 PM UK time and 9 PM UK time, where there's a player every minute being auctioned. And again, 10% of those will be super rares, and the last one, the finale auction of the night, will tend to be the unique. So as long as you've got access to your wallet, you can do this through Trust, you can do it through your browser once your account's charged up, then we promote the auction schedule. Just look at the transfer market and you can see clearly, you know, when players are coming up to expire. But to answer your question, Power Hour tends to be the one where we blend in the super rares and the unique. They tend to be Thursday, so you can buy the new players prior to the Friday deadline. So if you wanted to come in, let's say this Friday, so I can show you already, you go to the transfer markets, filter, super rare. We've already got 8 players up. There's 2 we're just getting the photos for this week. So this week, this is based on last week's team of the week. The Anderlecht goalie, I'm sure he kept a clean sheet. Sander Berge, not sure if anyone knows this guy. Youngster, I think on transfer market now.
We bid on these to win.
Say that again?
And we bid on these to win.
Correct. So Philippe Anderson, for example, at the moment has already got an opening bid. There tends to be a lot more activity right towards the end. So we will announce on Discord 1 hour to go till power hour. There'll be an email reminder that comes to you throughout the day to say check out so-and-so Philippe Anderson on power hour and give you a prompt. And if you're available during the auction hour, then yeah, you'll see quite a lot of activity. Sometimes we'll run it in conjunction with an incentive. So there's various different things we can do to help people on board. The key for us is to get people playing the game, and if we can make it easy for you to pick up your first pack, get into a tournament scenario, compete against people on a similar level to yourself, say the game should hopefully speak for itself, and then that should incentivize you to develop out your collection as you see fit. Yeah.
Who decides what gets put into power hour? Is it like, is that centrally controlled, or is that?
It's I think
is that
it is automated, but again, it's done. It tends to be done based on performance over the weekend. So we're not just putting out substitutes or squad players that aren't getting minutes.
Right.
This is going to be top down. Best player of the week gets a unique. Next 10 get a super rare, and then after that, it's a selection of players that have performed and got positive points throughout the week.
Publicly verifiable in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think how it's decided. Yeah, I mean, there tends to be an equilibrium or balance in the card distribution as well, because what we can't do is turn around and go, oh, everybody likes West Ham, let's put all the West Ham players out there and ignore the team that's bottom of the Jupiler League, because everybody's got revenue expectations. So we have to make sure that proportionally we don't get overweighting one particular club or one particular player. So they tend to follow each other. The only time you see any divergence in players that are being allocated is if they're consistently coming up in team of the week. So we've had guys like Hans van Aken and Samatta who pretty much are top performers each week. So because they're top performers, they get to their quota of super rares quite quickly, whereas some players don't. So and last year in the early months we had the ability to select our prizes. You either won a rare or super rare or unique, and then you could choose, and if people are obviously doing well, you're going to choose the players that are going to score you the in-game points. But at the moment, second season, we've already automated that process. So, no, keep going, Paul. So let's just go through the composed teams. I want to show you how easy it is to go through. So this is this current game week. So you see the tournament details, 4th to the 7th of October. You can see which games are being featured. So we have got Premier League games, we have got Bundesliga games, we have got others, and this is because in 2018-19 we've obviously had a summer transfer window and we've seen players move from club to club. So there actually has been some quite interesting moves from the Jupiler League to the Premier League. West Ham will always feature their game. Newcastle, we've got Andy Carroll, so if you did buy him in a West Ham version last year, you can play your Andy Carroll. Surprised we don't have Liverpool Leicester this week, but that's because I don't own Adrian. Adrian has obviously moved to Liverpool. And then Aston Villa, they signed Wesley from Club Brugge for 25 million. They also spent, I think, just over 10, 11 million for Marvellous Nakamba from Club Brugge. We've had a big profile move from Arnaud Danjuma to Bournemouth. Trossard went to Brighton. So this summer there's been quite a few high profile transfers from the Jupiler League to the Premier League. My mate Taiwo Awani, unknown from Liverpool, is playing at Mainz, so he gets to feature. We've got Diangana from West Ham on loan at West Brom, and then we've had a big Japanese mover, Takahiro Tomiyasu's moved to Bologna. So again, over time, these fixtures will show you exactly what you can, which players will feature this week. Now, if you played the previous week, the nice thing is when you load up the screen for the first time, it already brings forward the teams that you submitted last week. So if you've got quite a large collection, and some guys in the game now have got 300, 500 cards, you're not sitting there trawling through, setting your 5, setting your 5, setting your 5. You already bring them and roll them over from the previous week. The only thing you've got to make sure is that green means it's ready, X means that there's something you need to do on that particular team. So if we take one of my teams from last week, this is a team I had competing in the Super Rare League. If I don't want to do anything with this team and I just want to submit it for next week, all I've got to do is press submit and that'll be ready to go. The data that you can see on this screen here, make it a little bit bigger, is that you can see the upcoming fixture for that particular player, and then you can see their last 5 scores. So some of you might just go, oh, I'm going to base it on past performance, and I'll go with the guys that are playing well. I know, Pat, you're quite a heavy statistician, yeah?
This was a good week last week.
This one might do all right last week. This guy scored. All 4 scored last week, and this guy kept a clean sheet. So goalie let in 2. But again, if you wanted to change anything up, I've got 1 spare goalkeeper at the moment that I could actually bring in. Not that I'd want to. And if I wanted to take a look at some of the other cards I've got in and bring them out from other teams, I could mix and match and swap, and then, right, okay, I'm good to go. Name my team, whatever I want to call it, something memorable. This will tell you top right tells you which tournaments it's eligible to be entered into. So because it's super rare cards, that eliminates me from competing in the rare tournaments. So I can only compete in the super rare and in the all-star.
Is it a unique tournament?
My super rares can compete in the unique tournament, but it's unlikely I will win the unique tournament because there'll be cards in that tournament which are unique, which are more powerful. But over time, we're changing the metrics. I can get onto that so that you're always competing within people that have got similar power, similar strength team. So if I'm happy with that, I press submit. And now that doesn't need any further action for this week. That'll be submitted into this week. If I delete a few teams,
Score that they get. Does it make any difference if in the real life they make that score in a championship rather than another, I don't know, in a World Cup rather than in a...
Yeah, great question. At the moment, because we tend to work only on the weekends, we only take into consideration domestic league action. I'm sure as time evolves, and I know already in the pipeline they'll want to start doing midweek matches. They'll want, we did run an international competition. We will have another one after this weekend because next week's an international break week where we run it on Discord, and we would link it to a watered down version of the point system where you only get points for goals, assists, clean sheets, yellow card, red card. So the actual metrics, and I'll show you in a minute, are a lot more detailed than that. But over time, yes, this is the first game. This is called SO5. And I'm sure over time there'll be other companies that will devise other gaming structures that we can utilise these cards with, or we'll grow and put SO11, have a proper 11-a-side version, and then again, ideas like you've just come up with, ways to incorporate the weeks where there's no domestic action, there's only cup action, or when there might be international features as well. But if you've got your pack for the very first time, this is the screen that you'll be facing. You can put in your goalkeeper, put in a defender, put in a midfielder, put in a striker, and then pick another player. Choose your captain for the week, submit. And within literally 20-30 seconds, you could have set your team for Friday, and then you'll get email notifications the following to say, check your gallery, see how you did. The rewards that you get from this week will be pre-populated, so you'll log in. If you've made a particular achievement in a few weeks' time, then you'll see that. If you've won a reward that week, it'll come. So everything will be automated for you. And then in our frequently asked questions, I'll look to wrap it up and obviously help with any questions that you've got here. We've got a comprehensive FAQ. The one I'd probably draw your attention to is what is gameplay detailed. So a lot of this I've covered through the presentation, but this will go down into more details as to how your players score points. So in general, all players are scored based on fouls, goals, assists, yellows and reds and minutes played. And then depending on the position of the player, you've got, again, other metrics which are taken into consideration. And all this data is fed into us by Opta. So we work with Opta as a statistics partner. And again, we can pick and choose what metrics we want to have. And as time goes by, we will evolve these. I think what we've learned in the last 6 months is that at the moment, our point scoring system tends to favour more attacking-based players. The guys aren't in a hurry to suddenly knee-jerk reaction and change that around, but we are starting to see that is influencing how people are buying players on auction, and I think there are measures in place coming up very soon that will help balance that out. So I know we've all, the likes of the N'Golo Kantés, the Declan Rices, the people that do play well each week, but perhaps aren't getting recognised under this current point scoring system, that will have a review. And if it's deemed that needs to be changed, that'll be tweaked. But at the moment, these are the metrics that we use. You can see here again the different strengths in the card. So I can show you some of the cards which have been in existence for a bit longer. But when you purchase a rare card, you'll start with a base bonus of 1. As you start with the super rare, 2, unique 3. And then for every level they improve, they'll go up by an incremental bonus. So the maximum that you could grow a card to would be 18, and that would probably take, based on how the growth curve works on the XP, could be up to 2.5 seasons. So again, in terms of what you're buying, collecting, building, leveling up, you've got a value to the card anyway. The card will not suddenly then be obsolete in 12 months because it's a new season. If anything, if you've got a loyal player on your team, it'll be that much stronger. Some of the cards that I've got from last year, and I'm sure some of the cards you've got, Pap, as well, we don't feel the need that we have to go and buy the version of them again in 2019. We can do if we particularly want to collect it, but whilst my cards won't get the 2019-20 seasonal bonus, I've probably already built them up to level 2, 3, 4, and that offsets the 10% bonus they would have got anyway. So the mechanisms in place are always being reviewed because we want to make sure more than anything that people that come and join the game aren't coming in and saying, oh, I'm too late to the party here, or oh, I can't compete against these people because they're too far and away, or my collection's not going to compete against them. There should always be provisions in place that allow you to compete at the same level of others and to aim for prizes that will always keep improving your team. The speed in which you want to progress through the game is going to be down to yourself, but it shouldn't always be those that have got the deepest wallet ends up winning. Again, if you want to get a head start and you want to buy this week's unique, for example, and a few super rares, great, you can start to play with some of the guys that have already been in the game for 2 or 3 months, and you can start to compete for perhaps higher prizes as well. But with the different tournaments, we can actually see the different behaviour patterns of the users. We are opening up an under-21s league in a couple of weeks' time. So again, a lot of people like to come in and scout the players at a very early age, because if they go on to become the next Messi, Ronaldo, what have you, and you've got their first edition card in their very first season, that might go on to become quite valuable in the future. So we're opening up an under-21s league, and then we're opening up different divisions with different strength, if you like, so that again you're always competing against people of a similar nature.
Can you create also your own league and compete with your friends?
Great question. It is something which I believe is on the roadmap. Again, I think that's similar to maybe some of the poker rooms that you would go to, where you can decide what the ante is, who is eligible to enter, what cards are eligible to enter. I'm sure in the same way that we can build a main league, an academy league and a training league at some point, I can't see any reason why we wouldn't allow other users to set up their own league.
And I have a couple of questions. One, what is usually the reward for the? It's a weekly reward or it's the end of the season reward?
No, at the moment they're all weekly rewards. The tournaments run weekly. That's another thing which has been openly discussed. Is do we want to have longer rewards to reward people over the course of a month or maybe over a little bit longer, so that the skill level is perhaps a little bit higher than just a one-off week. But at the moment, all the competitions are weekly. They're reset. Your XP is then added to the cards, and then you start again the following Friday.
And what is the reward?
You can see the reward
So
at
there
the
are-
beginning of it.
So each week at the moment, there's about 25 individual prizes that go, or 25 cards that get given out. There's a 1 ETH prize pot each week, and I expect that to go up, again in line with the user base.
So that scales with the users.
So it's cards plus.
It's ETH plus cards, or as we go further down the placings, cards only. Correct.
And what do you imagine for cards of players that, for example, retire in the future?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's one famous one on the system already, which not retired yet, but at the moment it's in a league which is not being scored by Opta. So we've got Ochoa, which is the Mexican goalkeeper, who's 140 odd caps, and is quite a decorated player. Again, there are talks about what functionality can we provide to retired players beyond the collectible aspect. One of the early ideas is that if you've built up a card, into their late 30s and they've got, maybe the highest level of experience, level 20 experience, there might be a way that we can look at maybe applying some of that experience to some of your younger players. So that we definitely want to build in utility to players that are over 30. In the same way we've got an under 21s league opening up, I can imagine a scenario where we'll have an over 30s league opening up as well. So if you have got a collection of older players, then there might be specific prize pots available for you to compete with those players as well. But yeah, at the moment, the only time where a player becomes rendered obsolete is if they retire. If they retire and you've got one of only the 10 or 15 cards that are in existence, you could argue that you might have an additional collector value to that particular card. But at some point, yes, it would be nice to have the ability to pass down maybe some of the XP to give your younger players a boost and give you the encouragement to keep owning that older player for as long as possible.
Do you have or plan to have APIs for automating stuff? Do you want to avoid that as long as possible? You don't really want to be automating the bidding and rigs, that's how it get sports betting is
Yeah,
automated.
I think with the bidding, we have had requests from users that have said, can we put in our upper limit and then walk away and then, and let's see how things go. But I think one of the nice community aspects that we have each week is that the transfer market tends to bring people online at the same time. We can have a bit of banter in the forums and discuss together. The balance of getting, we've got users in the States, we've got users in the Far East as well. So, whilst it's being built heavily around the European time zone at the moment, and that's only because the development support is there if we need it at this time, for example. But in terms of the bidding at the moment, I tend to find that, well, I don't know if you agree, Pat, but the power hour tends to be quite a popular time of week, which people like to come online and I say that they're the people that you're doing battle with, not only in the game, but you're potentially doing battle with these people on the transfer market as well. But bear in mind that this is based on approximately 100 users and only 111 cards being auctioned per week. If you scale that up 3, 4, 5 times, we'll have 2 or 3 power hours a week, and there'll be a constant flow of cards auctioned in the market on different time zones to cater for the users that we've got in the Far East and for the users that we've got in North America as well. So at the moment, you might find it's pretty easy, us all being here in London, to log on a particular evening and get access, or try to get access to the cards that you want. It might get to the stage where you might have to start setting alarms to, I've seen a player I really like at 3 in the morning, or at 7, and that's the nature. I mean, I've played a baseball game where, again, I've been on the opposite side, trying to compete with people predominantly in a North American time zone. But at the moment, as the game is as at the level it's at, it tends to appeal and be more advantageous for people in the European time zone. Okay, so do people think that if they had the right cards packs, they could go in and set a team? Is there anything that I perhaps didn't cover or you feel needs to be covered in a bit more detail. Then I'll do a quick recap. Transfer market, nice and straightforward. You can see, as I say, some of the cards have been sold tonight. You can list your players.
And then maybe some of mine here.
Maybe some of yours. What have you got? Here we go, Pat. You're selling Vitinha at the moment, okay. Who else have you got? Oh, here's the guy that is doing well tonight. Someone's obviously looking to take advantage and sell him for 3 ETH. I don't know if Club Brugge, did Club Brugge hang on and beat Real Madrid in the end?
Yeah, there was 2-0.
So here's an example of a player card. I mean, this is crazily overpriced. No one's going to be paying 483 euros for him. 2-2, yeah. Okay. So,
How is the game affected by the liquidity at the moment?
in terms of the transactions itself, because it's on the Loom chain, the recent spike in gas prices has not affected it. So, bidding, as long as you've paid the gas to get your money, from MetaMask onto your Loom account, then all of the microtransactions that you can conduct within the game itself aren't costing you any gas. It's only at the point where you then want to withdraw. So, for example, at the moment, if I want to do anything with my wallet, I've got the ability to deposit, withdraw, transfer if I want to send money to another user, for example. But again, I would just go to the top right of my screen, and then it will come up with a notification on my MetaMask that I just confirm the transaction, and I can take money backwards and forwards from my MetaMask account.
As you two as users, what's your sense? Because obviously, like with 100 users, it's nice when you've got community, probably will have the banter, and also just being able to filter all the information. What's your sense if there's 100,000 people using it? In terms of just knowing how the game works, obviously I need to go and play it more. But you're saying, is it going to become one of those things that just becomes really hard to kind of filter and keep on top of?
Well, I think
everything.
At the moment, I think we've got a quite nice cross section. Initially, we had from the beta testers a lot more people that were familiar with crypto and the world of crypto, and only a few that were into football with less knowledge of crypto, and that balance has really started to change now. So, Pap, I think you just said yourself.
I kind of take advantage of this, being more knowledgeable about football than I am about.
Well, you're too modest.
I really enjoy the gameplay, and I think you make a very fair point that we also need to anticipate what will happen when the customer base or the player base grows. And I think these are live discussions.
Last week we already had a little bit of another UI improvement whereby you log in for the first time and you've got a 3-step tutorial which talks you through the scarcity of the card. Tells you about how to go and set your team, for example. And I think again, Pap, and I think there's another chap called Matt. There's a couple of people already that are creating third-party tools. And I know there's certainly the people that are heavy into the stats, for example. The idea is that over time, the sort of things that you would like and expect from a fantasy football game, I'm sure, because it's being built by football fans as well, are going to feature within the platform. I mean, the platform 6 months ago, whilst I could have given you guys a presentation 6 months ago, it would have been very primitive compared to where we are now. And I think
I looked at a few weeks ago, but we definitely looked more.
Okay, and I think again where we act, I mean, Pat, you're one of the most active members of the community as well, is that we've got a direct line into the development team, and whilst they're not going to be sitting there at our beck and call going, oh yeah, we'll build that for you, we'll build that for you, they have set up an ambassador program now, which has been very good. So there's a core of 8 of us, which pretty much play a council, if you like, and we'll discuss internally, what we like, what we don't like, what we think can be improved. And I've got to say 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, if it's a feature that they also share our enthusiasm and belief in, it will then go onto the roadmap, or we can't produce that this month because the priority is this and this, but at some point it will feature. So I think if any of you do get into the game, and I say we use Telegram to push out announcements, but I think Discord is where the majority of activity and communication comes in. We've also got a couple of games on Discord as well, which are free to enter, where you choose who you think is going to be the worst player of the week, and then we've got predictions like Super 6, where you can win a card for getting the best points. But yeah, any ideas and feedback are all valued and welcomed. I know Nicholas has you know, a number of interviews directly with, you know, users of all sizes and backgrounds. So if there's one thing that they want to do is make sure that, you know, they're not building a game which they think other people might be interested in playing. They're building a game with input and valid feedback from, you know, I've played, I think, quite a large amount of football games in my history, some that I've loved, some that I don't like, and, you know, I'm not influencing, but I'm at least expressing what I've enjoyed and what I think other people might enjoy too. And it's interesting when we've got the different people from different backgrounds, you know, again, you see common themes in what they're asking for and what they're requesting, and they're pretty much all on the roadmap.
How many people on the actual team, development team? And like,
There's
all kind of on the payroll?
3 at the moment.
Oh, right, okay. Okay.
So yeah, they raised from Kima Ventures, I think €500,000 about 3 or 4 months ago. So they've got capital to deploy in terms of scaling up the operation, in terms of being able to go and attain the new licenses with the leagues and the clubs they want to add into the platform as well. So they've got the financial footing. It's not a case of just selling some NFTs and then, right, what can we do with that money? Can we build a game with this? So I think in terms of putting the cart before the horse, they've done the complete opposite. They've gone out and sold the concept to some, you know, quite high profile venture capitalists who have backed them. And with that, they've acquired the license to the Jupiler League. So we've got a fantastic relationship with West Ham, and I think that's helped us put ourselves in the shop window with other clubs as well who are just watching and waiting. And I think in the next 4 to 6 weeks we're expecting another announcement with regards to another full league coming on board, which will again automatically double the database of players that are available to play, and again with that increase the amount of tournaments. So right now, if you were to come in and compete with us on Belgian players, yeah, there might be a small gap that you'd have to close because the Belgian database has been in existence for 6 months. But if another league gets announced, I think they're very close with France. I think Russia is also another league which is very close to maybe getting the license for. Then if that starts and drops in October, then all of a sudden we're all in the same boat, because those player cards will be the first on the chain of any description, and it won't matter whether you've got a nice collection of West Ham players or Belgian players. If there's a tournament specifically for Russian league, then we're all getting all on a level playing field and starting afresh.
And on your point on the number of people they have on the payroll, I have to say it's pretty impressive what they managed to achieve.
Yeah, no.
When you compare it to other
I was expecting to say
similar
when
platforms in the market globally.
Yeah.
I think it's really, I'm pretty impressed personally.
Yeah.
Not being close to this in general, but I've been pretty impressed, and I know some of the people on other continents are also very impressed.
No, I was expecting you to say like 8 or 10 people.
Compared to other platforms, as you mentioned, like for instance, NFT Football, what is the edge of Sorare compared to them?
Well, look, I'm a fly on the wall in a lot of the sports games. I mean, I own cards in NFT Football. I own cards in, you know, other games. Look, I think to be as diplomatic as possible, I think a lot of it does come down to your financial backing, because whether you've got a great concept, it's realising that concept, and the long and short of it is you need capital to do that. You know, it's taking something from an idea, a bedroom business, and then rolling it out to give yourself a chance to achieve that user-based growth that is going to help you continue down your journey. I think with Nifty Football, for example, great little concept, nice design. Stanley Chow does the cards there. They sold 2,500 cards back in May or June, but since then there has been little growth. I know that one of the lead developers, Andy there, well, spoke to him today, and he wished me well for tonight. So, you know,
Is that a blockchain? Another blockchain?
Yes.
it's another blockchain game, but it's done off art. It's not done off licenses, for example. And I know that they're trying to put together, for example, some sort of top trumps game using the cards and the 4 attribute factors that they've got for the cards. So, but I don't see them as being competing with each other, for example, because they're appealing to do 2 different types of gamers, so to speak.
To do the occasional special edition.
We've got special edition cards already. We had an early adopter card, which So look, our oldest. We had some early adopter cards, which were a thank you to the beta testers. And as I say, West Ham have given us the ability to create some cards for them. Where's Tyro? Which will have, again, slightly differing backgrounds to commemorate their 40th anniversary of their FA Cup win. But yeah, I think there's no limitations to where this can grow, as long as the fundamentals stay in place and it has that appeal to collectors in tandem with the appeal to gamers. And so you don't want to be too weighted in one direction. You want to have it balanced and appeal to both demographics. But there's no reason, as I say, we've already seen that these can coexist together. And say if these are assets that you can own in your wallet, rather than storing your sticker albums up in the loft or in your shed and what have you, this is something which will stay with you forever. Then, as I say, there's no reason why you can't, I think, create some very serious. There's already some very serious collectors saying, okay, here's an example of one of the special editions from last year, which got slightly different treatment on the front. So this one's got special edition, early ambassador, and I'm sure again as time goes by, there'll be the opportunity to create slightly different versions. It's still a rare card. It's still got a relatively low multiplier here, so this will give you an idea. This person's got, Mark Noble's got a level 5 experience, which only gives him a slight edge. So because he's last season, he loses the 10%. So even the new cards coming into the market now, you get the 1.2 multiplier. You would have had to really build up someone in the last 6 months to be, creating quite a large distance ahead. And after 2 seasons, when they're all maxed out anyway, it will start to boil down to who's got the best players, who's got the best teams, or who's done the best scouting from the get-go.
Would it be possible that different users playing with the same players?
In what sense? They
create the same team?
Well, at the moment, it would be one team per tournament, and if you've used your card in one tournament, you can't also use that card in another tournament. But if you had 2 Mark Nobles, you could put 1 Mark Noble in one squad.
You can't use them in the same team.
Not in the same team.
Another guy
With the same
who
card.
has the same card who plays against you.
Yes, technically it's possible because you can have up to 100 rare cards.
Yeah.
So technically it's possible that someone has the same card and then it comes down to the XP you've acquired. And this is what will make the difference in the absolute score at the end of the week.
What makes the difference, sorry?
The experience you've acquired with your card. So you can, in theory, you can have exactly the same team, but end up with a slightly different score at the end of the week.
So, for example, this guy, if you go into more detail, so you can always subscribe to the players as well. So, if you subscribe to a particular player, say add to favourites, you'll get email notifications when they come up at auction. So, if there's someone that you're waiting for come up, you don't have to keep checking the auctions. You can subscribe to that player. So, last season there were 12 rare versions of Mark Noble produced and 1 super rare. This season already, I think he scored a penalty in an early match, so he got a super rare version earlier in the season and 3 rares. So if you click on cards, you can actually see who are the owners of these particular cards. So Desert Fox, Kringer, Stasi, me, Mamba, me, Surface, Janino, Texas, Pied Up, Ruli, 1W8, Zeral, Ricochet, Ben.
You asked earlier for how much the cards go on the market. Here you can see for a single player every card that are in the market and for how much they were.
So the first edition super rare for Mark Noble this year went for 0.314 to Zeral. Yeah, you've got the price history, correct.
Does it come with a little chart?
Not at the moment, but I'm sure we can add that as a feature and a request. I think if you take it out to OpenSea, then you can see if there had been. This at the moment only shows you the last transaction, but I'm sure there are ways that we can.
If you click on it, then you can see
Okay.
the history. Yeah. Here.
Oh yeah, there might be some owners. So,
If you're the previous owner, you can see the history of a specific card.
okay, so
It has been transferred.
yeah, we need to find one that's been transferred.
Which is not easy to do. Yeah,
okay.
history. Yeah, that one.
Okay, so this one was won as a prize, and then was sold on for 0.25. So there will be a doc. But a lot of the cards, I would say, haven't changed hands really, because I think if you've got a good card that you've spent time scouting, going to the auction, purchasing, you probably bought it with the reason of playing it. I think whilst collectors have started to appear, most people are wanting to play with their cards. Okay, if you bottom fish the market, you get an absolute bargain, you might want to flip it on and try and make a quick profit, but the majority of people are buying cards with the intent of using them in the fantasy leagues to try and help them win more cards. So there are some people in the market are trying to flip for profit, but the majority of people are buying to actually use them to compete.
Just because I've not played around with these so much, so if I do take this off the platform, I can move it onto another platform
Yep.
to trade on a separate
Like OpenSea.
OpenSea. So OpenSea is an independent marketplace for
Yeah,
for
where
all
you can
non-fundable
trade
tokens.
any NFT. And it's not the only one. There are a few that.
So if in an unfortunate future, obviously hope it never happens, but Sorare, as a company disappeared, but you had the cards, then you just trade them on a secondary market in the future. The game aspect might be gone, but your cards will still exist and you can trade them in the future.
I guess you can trade them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
You might lose access to the game, but you still have the actual.
That's probably more going to be down to OpenSea and whether they, from what I understand at the moment, OpenSea is in the process of building a shop front for Loom or NFT stored on Loom. So at the moment, it is a longer-winded process. You withdraw, put it on OpenSea, list it, and then bring it back. But I think with the other games like Axie Infinity, and I think it's Crypto Wars, and there are a couple of other games, high-profile games, which are being built on Loom. I think OpenSea are already building a marketplace. So what we've got here, I imagine, will be mirrored by OpenSea and perhaps other NFT shopping sites that you can then go and use as well.
I'm freezing.
Yeah, it's twice if you can turn it off. So the problem is that it has to go through that door to turn it
I'm going to have a quick
off.
city and then come back.
Well, what I'll leave you then, guys, with is look. Thanks again for listening and appreciate all the questions. Happy to.